So this lesson is about rounding numbers, and your essential question is, how do you round to the nearest tenth, hundredth, and whole number? So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to round these three types of numbers. So before we review rounding, let's look at place value. So place value is the numerical value of a digit based on its position in the number. And our place value system is based on powers of 10. And the reason why you need to know place value is so that you know what number you're rounding. So if a question is asking you to round to the nearest tenth, then you need to know what position that number is in. So down below, I'm just going to make up a number right here. And you can see there's a decimal right here. So each line just represents the place value for each of those digits. So here in the center, we have the decimal, and to the left, we have the ones place, then we have tens, then we have hundreds, and then we have thousands. So as we go to the left, our numbers get bigger. However, if we were to move the opposite way and go to the right, you'll notice that our numbers get smaller, and they get smaller by 10. So after 1, then this 1 is going to get divided by 10. So the tenths place is represented by 1/10. Then the next position is 1/100ths, or the hundredths place. And then the last one, that just in the example that I'm showing you, would be thousands, or 1/1000th. So the reason why I'm showing you this is because a lot of students have trouble right here. They know that this right here is the ones place, and they know that this is the tenths place, but where they have trouble is right here. They don't remember that that's the tenths place. So the reason why it's the tenths place is because of this right here. There's no ones place. It's the tenths place. So we're going to start by rounding to the nearest whole number. And a lot of times the questions will say to round to the nearest whole number, but this is the same as if the question were to ask you to round to the ones place. So right here in this left side, this is the rule that we're going to always follow for rounding. So first we're going to find the place. Okay, so in this question, in all these questions right here, we're rounding to the whole number, which is the ones place. So we're going to underline it. So this 1 is the ones place. And then we're going to look next door. And we're always looking next door to the right. Then we're going to ask ourselves, or tell ourselves, if it's 5 or more, raise the score. So that number that we're looking at, the 9, it's 5 or more. So that is going to bump up the number in that ones place. So that 1 is going to bump up to a 2. So when we round this, this would become 12. Now you don't need to write 12.0. We can just leave it as 12. And the reason why is because it's not going to change the value of the number. Also, when we're rounding, a lot of times the point is to make the number appear shorter. So that's why another reason why we don't need to round. Now, if that number was 4 or less, then we would leave that number in the ones place the same. Okay, so let's go to the second example. So again, we're rounding to the nearest whole number. So the 2 is in the ones place. So we found the place, and now we're looking next door. And sometimes, like in this example here, you'll have more numbers to the right. It doesn't matter, you're looking the 1 just directly to the right. So 5 or more, raise the score. Well, that number is not 5 or more, it's 4 or less. So that means that this 2 is going to stay the same. So this also happens to be 12. Okay. So I want you to pause the video and try this next one on your own. And then when you're done, play the video so you can see how you did. So the answer that you should get for this one, rounding to the nearest tenth. So we're looking at the place, we're looking next door. That next door is 5 or more, so we're raising it. So this is going to raise up to 85. So next, we're going to continue rounding, but rounding to the nearest tenth. And the process is the same. So we're finding our place. So the 6 is in the tenth place, and we're looking next door. So since it is 4 or less, we're going to let it rest. So this would become 94.6. In this next example, same thing. We're finding the place, which is the 2. That's our 10th place. And we are looking next door. This time it's 5 or more. So this 2 is going to round up. We're going to raise it. So this would be 21.3. Same thing as before. Pause this video and try this next example on your own. So here you should have got 22.4. 4 is the place. 2 is next door. And since it's 4 or less, then we're leaving it alone. All right, last part is rounding to the nearest hundredth. So the hundredth is the second number to the right of the decimal. So there's our place. We're looking next door. And that next door in this example is 5 or more. So we're raising the score. We're going to raise that number that we're rounding up one. So this would become 14.37. In our next example, I'm finding the place. The 2 is in the hundredths place. I'm looking next door. This time it's 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. So you could think of like nothing's going to happen with those. That everything before is going to stay the same. So this would round to 15.32. Pause at this point and try the last example on your own. So for this last one, when you round it, you should get 8.93. 2 is the place. We're looking next door. Since it's 5 or more, then this 2 goes up 1. It's going up to 3.